Test.
Can you hear him, Mike?
Yep. Good to hear him.
Good. All right.
Yep.
Champ chat at Park Lane.
And hey, there we go.
Man.
What did you do after training?
I went to Whole Foods. I got the smoothie I always get there. It's got acai and blueberries in it.
Yeah.
And then I got like 8 bags of macadamia nuts.
Wow.
I like love macadamia nuts.
Just smashing Mac nuts.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, yeah. Welcome to Champ Chat with Mike and Chu with special guest BJ Kobayashi in the house.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Check
guys.
it out.
How's it going, BJ? How are you?
I'm doing great, especially today after getting off the plane from
Yeah.
Japan and then jumping into the into some boxing with you.
Did you really come straight from the airport?
Dang.
No,
You stopped
I went from the airport. I got home like maybe 20 minutes, and then I turned around and came
Grabbed
to
the
see
gear.
you. Grabbed the boxing gloves, the wraps,
Yep.
and I think we did about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It was good.
Very little rest. We had like 30 seconds in between and right back on it.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Today was the first time I kind of looked up at the clock a few times. I
Yeah.
was like,
Oh, jet lag. A little jet lag, maybe?
Yeah.
a little bit.
I didn't see it. I honestly didn't see it. You was firing like normal. You know, you were sharp mentally, and you know, boxing too. You got to be sharp mentally too, because we're calling out different stuff, and you're reacting on it. Like your reactions. We did some reaction drills. Everything was on point today. I got to say.
Oh,
Straight
thanks,
off the
man.
plane.
Yeah, that's the hard part is keeping the brain off. Right?
Yeah.
'Cause you're thinking a lot. And also breathing. I forget to breathe sometimes.
Yeah, I'm like breathe.
Breathe.
Yeah, that's
I
one of
love
the
it, though. It's been a
that's one of the
game
most
changer.
important parts. Breathing.
Yeah.
Hey, BJ, I like your style, man. Like your kicks.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, what kind of shoes are those? Let's talk about those real quick. Those are smoothies.
Okay, I've never even pronounced them before, but they're spelled Autry, A-U-T-R-Y. Got a little American flag there, and I got them in Japan.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. So they're not crazy. They're like a couple $100.
Yeah.
but
They're nice, though.
The style.
Yeah, it has like a vintage retro swaggy look to it. I like them a lot.
yeah, they got like so many different models, and most of them are actually more like purposefully worn in and like retro.
Yeah, I like that.
kind of like it looks a little bit like the Palm Angel one.
Yeah. You were telling me recently, because you came with some sick dunks the other day. You were telling me your daughter got you into sneakers. How'd that work out?
Yeah, we were, my daughter and I, she was back for the summer. She's in college now in New York. But we were having dinner over at Bernini, which is like a couple blocks away. But she mentioned to me that she was getting into sneakers. And so we like began to go look at some of the sneaker stores and stuff, like ones that are all wrapped up in plastic.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised at how expensive
Right.
those sneakers are.
Right. And
Yeah.
you know
Supply
that,
and demand, you know?
Right. And you know they only cost like $3 to make. So the return on
Maximum.
Yeah.
Maximum. It's got to be a hugely profitable industry.
right.
Hey, BJ, is it true? I heard something about you that you, back in the days when you were in school, let's say Iolani in kindergarten, you were a pretty slick dress. Used to wear a bow tie during your
Man.
Oh my
Nothing
God.
changed. Still slick.
yeah, hair nice and cool. While all the other kids at Iolani kindergarten were wearing PE shirts. Is it true you were all slicked out in a
Business.
bow tie?
I don't know who told you. That's a true story. So actually, when I was, here's the reason. My mom is actually from Boston, Massachusetts. Very like big Irish Catholic family, private schools, like suits and ties for school. And so my first picture day at Iolani, like first grade or second grade, she said, "Oh, all the kids are going to be wearing jackets and ties because it's picture day." So I got on, I swear to God, like a full suit and tie. I'm like 7 years old, and I got beat up for a week after that. It was ridiculous. It's like,
Dang.
Mom, nobody's wearing a jacket and tie.
That's funny.
Man.
Sometimes moms do overdo it. I remember my mom used to make me comb my hair to the side all slick, and I hated it. For a while, like you're so young, you don't care. But then once you start getting your own little personality and your own little what you like, it's like, why are you telling me to do that, Mom?
Because mom knows style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wanted you to look good, but Did you know he was also a star soccer athlete?
Yeah, wait, state champ or something, right? Was that?
Yeah, back in
Yeah.
Punahou too. You went
Yeah.
Iolani and then Punahou, right?
Yeah, I was. I went to all the schools here. You name them.
Wow.
I went to Iolani, to Hanaho'oli, to Mid Pacific, to Punahou.
Which one's the best?
I joke and say that if I was part Hawaiian,
Yeah.
I'd also be a kapalama in many schools.
Which one was your best experience out of all those schools?
Damn.
Oh man, you know, I gotta be honest. It was definitely Iolani.
Really?
No doubt. I mean, I'm a kid, but
Yeah.
I made great friends there that I have friends till this day, and got into sports there, and learned at a very young age about work ethic and study, and I got that from Iolani. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Not from your family, huh?
Well, no, it's kind of already in the DNA,
Right.
right? But as far as environment versus nature, like the environment at Iolani was super competitive, even at that in grade school.
Wow.
So that was very instructive to me early on in my life. But yeah, so I played soccer my whole life. In high school, did football and track as well. But soccer was my main sport, and yeah, we were state champs my senior year.
Wow.
Yeah,
You got a
Punahou.
champ, you
That's
know?
that's honestly the best year to win it, I think. You know what I mean? Junior year, then you got to feel like you got to repeat. Senior year, you get it, and you're off
you're
to the
done
next
off to
thing.
the sunset.
Yeah, we lost to Iolani my sophomore year, my junior year, and then we beat Pearl City my senior year. Yeah.
Well, did you keep playing soccer after high school?
I
A little
did.
bit?
Yeah, I was recruited to play at a few colleges, and I ended up playing at Georgetown University.
Wow.
But it was a totally different experience than playing in Hawaii because it was Division I.
Yeah, big dogs.
And yeah, it's it's a lot of money, a lot of travel. It's actually like a job.
Yeah.
Like you're doing it.
You're a part-time student, full-time athlete.
It's pretty. I lasted about a season and a half, and then I called it quits. It was tough for me to do all the three things I wanted to do. I wanted to have a great social life.
Yeah.
I wanted to do well academically, and I wanted to play Division I soccer.
Yeah.
And I had to choose two of those three.
Out
I
of
couldn't
the
do
three?
all. I couldn't do all three.
Yeah.
And so the one that had to go
Was athletics.
for sure.
Yeah.
I was not gonna
Not the
go
social
out.
life.
Yeah,
Not the social life. Gotta
the
have
social
that.
life is paramount.
Oh, yes.
The life of the party.
Of course.
BJ Kobayashi. That's
But
funny.
just so that, not that I was stalking you, Stubbs Lewis? Stubbs?
Oh, yeah,
Lewis?
I know. Yeah,
Cedric,
of
Cedric
course.
and stuff. So I work with Cedric.
Whoa.
And that's how I got that story about Iolani.
You're
from
kidding
Stubbs.
me.
From
Wow.
Stubbs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Stoughton lives in Tokyo. And he and he's probably like one of my two oldest friends. I've known him since I was in kindergarten. Yeah, I mean love Stubbs Stoughton.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually have a big reunion coming up next year.
Oh, right
that
on.
hopefully I'll be catching up with him.
Yeah, see, that's how I found out. I was working with Dr. Lewis, and then we were talking about the podcast, and then your name just popped up and said, "Oh yeah, I have this this guy, some guy named BJ Kobayashi that we're going to be doing a podcast."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh my God, he said you and his brother were like really good friends, and that's how I got that story of your bow tie and your slick hair from Iolani."
Yeah, super good. And actually, the Cedric, who's a couple years older than me, and Stubbs, Cedric also was a tenant of ours at Pearl Ridge Uptown 2 shopping center we bought a while back. And
Do you guys still own that one?
we sold that. We
okay.
sold that a few years back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Nice.
he was sort of our anchor, medical provider, and he's a very talented dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your morning routine like? Someone like you're very disciplined. I have a lot of stuff going on. What's your morning routine like?
Yeah, I'm pretty restrictive as far as like my schedule, especially the morning. So my number one rule is I basically don't work in the mornings, and it's something I changed when I turned 50. I just wanted a lifestyle change. I needed to improve things, and so what I do is I dedicate the entire morning to my fitness, which includes not just exercise, but also eating my first meal, which is hopefully a healthy meal.
Yeah.
And then personal relationships, not business relationships,
Yeah.
which
What time do you
oftentimes for me
usually wake
overlap.
up? What time do you usually wake up?
Oh Man, yeah, I wake up between 6 and 7. I don't wake up that early, you know, but I get going pretty quickly on, you know, my dedication to fitness.
When you mentioned the relationships as part of your morning routine, what do you send out? A couple emails, a couple texts, just check in on your people? What does that mean for you?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. It's more symbolic than like technical. But basically, what I do is 6 days a week, every day except for one, I go for a walk with my dad.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
you know, my dad's getting old. He's turning 79 next month. And during COVID, one of the silver linings is you're cooped up, right? The governor shut everything down. You
Yeah.
couldn't go anywhere, but we happen to live here at Park Lane, a few buildings away from each other. And so basically that's when we began starting walking together. And what it reminds me is, since it's the second thing I do after I work out, is it reminds me that relationships are very important.
Yeah.
Family and also close friends.
Right.
Not friends, close friends.
Yeah. That's very important.
Yeah.
And then obviously all the business relationships you have here too on the island too, right? Well, you dive into those on the second half of your day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So basically, once I'm done sort of with the exercise, my morning walk with my dad, and I usually we go back to his place and chat. My mom might be there.
Yeah.
And then I'll eat my first meal, and then after that, that's when I kind of get to work. And I'm pretty devoted to my work from the moment I start until almost like bedtime, which isn't great.
Yeah.
But I have a pretty demanding. I have two businesses, not one. One does real estate development, which is Kobayashi Group, which did this, Park Lane.
Wow.
And then I also have a private equity real estate fund platform called Black Sand Capital. A lot of Hawaii's larger investors are my limited partners in Black Sand, but because of the two positions, it can be a lot. So I'm pretty on.
Yeah.
In the afternoon.
So your grandfather was very successful. Your father
Yep.
was successful. How did they groom you to be a man? What are some things that you notice is different about the way you were raised compared to some of your peers or other guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure I didn't interact as much with my grandpa, obviously, but like my dad, you know, it was more not so much him giving me advice or any like verbal communication. It was more me watching the way he lived his life and his really devotion to the business and the family. It was, I think the right word would be, which I've carried through to this day, is this relentless pursuit. So it's sort of it's not something I have to try and do. It's not something that I have to, it's actually something that I have to try and work with my therapist on, kind of like pulling it back because I can tend to, especially people that work with me and for me, I can tend to be, you know, to drive it pretty hard. Yeah.
What keeps that fuel burning as far as the passion to work hard? Because you're obviously very successful. What keeps it going?
Yeah, I just, you know, I love real estate investment, and I have a passion also for property development. And so, you know, I'm so thankful and lucky to be able to do what I love and what I'm good at. And
did it
also,
take you a while to find that, what you're good at? Or did you know?
Yeah, like my question would be like, were you raised where your parents said you're going to take over the company? Or were you raised like, oh, you can do whatever you want, and then you chose a field that you enjoyed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How did you just become into this?
You know, it's interesting you asked that question, Chris, because like I was just telling my daughter this, that I work ethic was always big in our family, so we worked from very young. So I think my first job, I was pretty young, but my first like real job was as a construction worker. My family's history is in construction, and a lot of these buildings, including Park Lane. But the Moana Surfrider, right, the oldest hotel in Waikiki, beautiful property. But this is back when I was in high school. My first job, I was 15 years old. I'm a laborer. I'm not even sure if I was supposed to be at that point legally, but
how did that come about? Did your dad or grandpa ask you to work for them?
Yeah. It was never like, oh, you got to do this. It was like, no, I wanted to work, right? So I started doing that, and what happened to me was crazy. Like in that like 2.5, 3 month period during the summer, I worked my ass off.
Yeah.
I got to work early every day, stayed late, and I made sure I was the best at it as a laborer. But I saw, more importantly, the Moana Surf Rider physically transform into this old property, into this vibrant, new, exciting hotel. And so that left a lasting impression on me in that, one, I wanted to be able to take real estate, take things and make them better, just at a very high level. And then number two, I was very, very interested in the investment side of it. Where's the money come from? How do you pay for it? How do you put together a capital stack? So that stuff was very interesting to me at a very early age. So for me, there was never a question. Never. Minute I hit 15, 16, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I'm doing today what I wanted to do back then.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's why you're able to work so hard, you know, because you're loving what you're doing, like you said. That's awesome.
Passionate.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, I don't love it when you get into, you know, tough spots, when you're not doing well, or if you're losing money. I mean, you know, right now the economy is pretty bad, pretty tough. Interest rates are really high, which makes it typically tougher for people like me. But no, I mean, like day in, day out, I tried at my best to keep, you know, an even keel. But yeah, I also have an aptitude for it though, right? So I'm good at what I do. So it's makes it more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you said economy is bad right now, you've been in this industry for decades, and I'm sure your family history has been in it for decades. So you've seen the market go up and down, things like. Does that experience help you?
It does. Yeah. In fact, I got into the business. My brother and I did actually in the mid '90s, and it was bad, Chris. It was. You know, I mean, listen, it just was very difficult to get anything done. Financing wasn't available. It was just a difficult environment. So getting into the industry at that time was very instructive and helped me think very carefully about risk because we do borrow to build these buildings and make these investments. And when you borrow money from banks, you're taking on risk. But if things work out, right, you're enhancing your returns.
Right.
So
there's no guarantee though.
No, there is no guarantee. You know, but you know, we try and keep it very, very simple. I don't change the way we do business. I won't let our companies change the way we do business in a good time or a bad time. We behave the same exact way, whether the economy is white hot or if it's in the can. We do not change. We do the same, like boxing, Mike. When I come in, whether or not you're feeling good or feeling bad, you and I are going to get the same kind of workout, right? Like that's the way I look at real estate. I think that our job is to find, and our investors trust us to find, fantastic property at fair values, to acquire them, and outcompete people to buy them, and then to make those properties not just better, but a heck of a lot better. And that's what we do. I don't change that, no matter where the economy is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your what projects do you have right now that you're passionate about?
Oh man, I'm pretty passionate about a couple of things that we're working on. One is Kuilei Place. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a large residential tower that we're planning on Kapiolani Boulevard, not too far from Date Street, between Kaimuki High School and next to Iolani School. But it's over 1,000 units. And what's exciting about it is that it's the first time that a developer is going to deliver basically like luxury 5-star style amenities for affordable housing.
Oh, wow.
So 60% of the units, so over 600 units, will be affordable. And I don't like saying affordable. I prefer saying great housing. But we need more great housing in Hawaii. I define great housing as new, well located, and reasonably priced. And super excited about Kuilei Place. We should be able to break ground in the first quarter of next year.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, to have an affordable project where people have a private lounge and a resort-style pool and cabanas and a great workout fitness facility. I mean, like, that stuff, that sex appeal isn't really there in the more affordable projects, but we're going to deliver that at Kuilei Place.
How do you go about doing that? Because obviously all those amenities and all those perks cost money, right?
Yep.
How does that work out where you can still offer a value?
That's a really good question. It's very difficult to do it, but in this instance, because we have a large piece of property, it's over 3 acres, and it allows us to build, and the government allowed us to do. The state and city allowed us to do a taller building and a bigger building. It allows us to spread the land cost among more units.
Wow.
And so when you do that, you're lowering your land cost. Your actual land cost doesn't go down, but if you have 1,000 units versus 500, your land cost is lower per unit.
Right.
So that's one. And two is, and I'm not shy about this, the other 40% of units are market, and those market units are going to subsidize the cost of those amenities because they're paying a higher price for their units. But those units are also higher up in the building, so maybe their views are a little better. But I'll tell you, the appliances, Gaggenau appliances. I mean, like we've got it's going to be pretty incredible. I'm excited about it.
We'll have to check
And that'll be
that out.
delivered in 2026.
Wow, that's pretty soon.
I was curious, man. There's so many towers going up. How's there enough workers for all these? Is it?
Yeah, there's barely enough.
Yeah, I feel like there must be barely because there's so many projects going on right now. So many towers going up. It's like, are a lot of these contractors double dipping and doing like multiple towers, or is it like pretty much like one company per tower? How does that work?
Yeah, no, some of them can do multiple towers.
Wow, at once.
Yeah. Like there's you've got 3 or 4 or 5 very competent, skilled, and great contractors here in Hawaii, including our namesake Kobayashi, that we do a lot of work with. But the good news about Hawaii is that we just don't have a lot of land here, and it's difficult to get the approvals to do these towers. So even though you notice a lot of them coming up, if you look at the last 20 years, it's not as if 100 towers came up. And so it's not a lot when you think about sort of over a period of 5 or 10 years what's coming up. Yeah.
When you say approval, are you talking about permits and license or politics, things like that? Is that the approval that you're talking about?
Yeah. So 2 kinds of approval. So one would be like permits, like from the Department of Planning and Permitting, like an actual building permit or a grading permit. So that's one level, which is more administrative, right? You should get those as long as you fill out the paperwork the right way. But there's also discretionary entitlements or discretionary approvals, meaning that the government authority can either say yes or no to your request. And if they say yes, they can put conditions on it. So that's more of what I'm talking about, because when you have a big property like that and you want to do 1,000 units and you want to go higher and denser, you're going to have to get a discretionary approval. And so that's where the state and city come in, and you have to be able to present your case and go through public hearings.
Wow.
So
And my sister Alana, who's my business partner, my brother Patrick, and their team did a fantastic job of securing those entitlements.
awesome. Team's firing on all cylinders.
Right now, yeah, we're pretty strong.
Nice. How'd you get into comedy? I know a couple of years ago you did a show. I actually didn't make it, but I know you got another one coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be at that one for
really?
sure.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy, huh?
Yeah, I'm a stand-up comedian.
Oh,
that's my what do you call it? My side hustle or whatever.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I started it 6 or 7 years ago. I started doing it. Actually, I got good advice from Joe Coy.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to meet him through a great guy, and he gave me some advice. He said basically, because he said, "Oh, give me a bit." So, and I normally don't do that, but I did it because it's Joe Coy.
Yeah.
So I did it, and he was like, "Oh, it's great," and he gave me 2 pieces of advice, and one of them was he's like, "Don't start here. Don't if you can afford it, don't do it in Hawaii. Go to New York, go to LA. That's sort of where the scene is." And so I began going when I had free time to New York and travel around, and I would do stand up, and I would do basically what's called open mics.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend at the time, her really good friend was at New York Magazine and got me into the Laughing Buddha. So that was my very first open mic.
Wow.
And the minute I did it, I was like, yeah, this is this is challenging.
It's a
hard.
different beast.
I like it, you
Yeah.
know, because you can tell when an audience is really laughing,
Yeah.
or if they're not, obviously, or if
right.
they're fake. Like you can tell.
There's
'cause
immediate feedback.
Laughter is visceral,
Yeah.
right? So, but yeah, when something lands like that,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
It's interesting because it's like it's immediate feedback. You know what I mean? It's immediate feedback because I tried.
Mike did it.
I tried stand up one time and I bombed miserably. When the lights are on and the microphone and like everyone's listening to every syllable, it's different. You know what I mean? And for me, I wasn't. I did it just on a whim and for fun because I'm a comedian fan, right? I love comedy. I'm a comedy fan, so I did it on a whim. But yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
You should
Doing
practice. You should if you like, because I'm the same as you. So ever since I was a kid, like Johnny Carson, like the Late Show, like which by the way, that's stand up comedy every time
Yeah.
it goes on, right?
Right.
So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
man, you name them, Eddie Murphy. I
Right.
mean, like Richard. There's so many great when I was coming up. So I fell in love with comedy back then, but how I got into it was I began to basically Google and like figure out, okay, how does someone build an outline? How does that come into a set?
Yeah.
How do you time it? You have to write it all out, and then you have to practice it like several hundred times.
Make your adjustments.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's hard work, which is why I like it.
Yeah.
Because anything that takes that kind of hard work, you know, like it, and if it works out, right, it just feels good.
I remember hearing one comedian, he would talk about, he was in the LA scene, and you know, in LA, you can go from the Laugh Factory to the Comedy Store, all kind of like within a few, you know, on the same road.
Yep.
And he would go do a set, record it, listen to it on the car ride to the next spot, make his adjustments, try to, you know, he's just kind of building up his material. And I thought that was pretty cool. It's pretty, like a lot, you know, when you take a professional approach to anything, you can get good at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that they should. Like that's one of the things I noticed when I started doing open mics in New York was just like how people, like the amateurs would go up and they would, like, there was zero confidence. Like they would just kind of go up, their shoulders are slumped over. They wouldn't introduce themselves. Their shoulders were. It just the vibe, and then you'd see a professional come on, and they'd like exude confidence and pronounce their name and make eye contact. And there's a lot of little things too that you can watch the professionals at the way they do it, where it gives you kind of a good tip. But it takes a lot of hard work. And then I did a special that you referred to at Sky with James Money. That was several years back, but that was a big one. I think I did 40 minutes on that one.
That's awesome. That's a long time to talk. That's a long set.
That's a long one.
And that was probably your first long set you did, huh?
First one.
For like 40 minutes long.
Yeah. 40 is a long. An hour is crazy.
What are you gonna do? Was it October or November?
Right now it's December 2.
December 2nd.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? How long is your set you thinking for that day?
I'm hoping for 25, 30 minutes.
Nice.
I haven't pulled it all together yet, but I'm getting close.
Yeah.
Where do you get inspired by the materials that you come up with? What inspires you?
You know, that's the easy part for me.
Really?
Is that, because I don't tell any jokes. Basically, all my comedy is centered around my real life experiences.
Yeah.
And I refuse to tell anything that isn't like a true experience of mine.
Yeah.
And so basically, there is some sort of like elaboration at times here and there.
Right. That's the comedy play.
or leaving out someone's name or
Yeah.
but yeah, so it just so happens that my life, if you will, just has been like, you know, I've
funny story.
gone
Yeah.
through a lot. Yeah, I've been through, right? Dressing up in a suit and tie when I'm like 6 years old, like I'm interviewing for IBM. I'm fucking going to like first grade, right?
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's what it is.
That's what I feel like comedians can do. They can take something, they can take it and they look at it in a different way. You know, it could be something simple. They look at it in a different way where it's funny. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty in comedy. Or sometimes they'll take something that's really outrageous and like no one wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
But they hit it from a different angle and you're like, that's funny. You know what I mean? That's why I love comedy.
Yeah.
They can, you can. It's almost like with comedy, nothing's untouchable.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
It's well, you know what it is. It's an art form.
Yeah.
It's art. I mean, like I went last couple of years. I went to this. I love Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr.
Right, I love Bill Burr.
One of my favorites is Ali Wong.
Yeah.
She's in one of my sets.
Wow.
Because I met her and who else? I love Sebastian Maniscalco. I just saw him in Las
Wow.
Vegas a few months ago.
He's classic.
He's so good. Like, there's just so much talent out there now,
Yeah.
and with like the way it works with like Netflix and Amazon and Prime, there's just so much access to it,
Yes.
right? Like, but there's a lot of talent out
Comedy's
there.
at an
Yeah.
all-time high.
I was really shocked because I thought that comedy would just, because they're talented, they would just go up and do it. But when you told me that you literally had to write everything down and you prepared, it's almost like it was like a show that you
Oh,
were
yeah.
getting
Yeah, well,
ready for.
yeah, there are exceptions. Like, you got like the Robin Williams of the world, or you've got like, I heard maybe Richard Pryor too, like, where like more like they could just go up there and like
Yeah.
freaking like
Just
ad
freestyle.
lib it. Yeah, I mean, like crazy. Like,
Right.
but from when I've talked to like the comedians that I've spoken to, it seems as if 95% or more
Yeah.
are really
Working
choosing every syllable.
Yeah.
Like, I choose every syllable.
Yes.
So,
No fat.
But the art is to make it look and appear as if
right.
you're
Freestyling.
You're just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But no,
That's the cool part.
you have to work. If like anything, like
Yeah.
to be super successful at something, you got to really work at it. And
You
that's
gotta
my
dive-
handicap right
nailed
now
it.
because I don't have any time to work on
Yeah.
this next one. But I'm trying to.
You got
fit
to
it
dive
in.
into the details. Do you have a? Do you ever think about getting a comedy coach? I don't even know if that's a thing, but you ever thought about that? Or you just run it by your friends?
That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
I'll bet you they exist.
Yeah, I bet you they do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably somebody out there.
Yeah.
Or even a Zoom thing or something. That'd be interesting. But Chris, you got any jokes? I'm just kidding.
Man, man, jack of all trades, man. Not only do you do business, you studied law and you do stand-up comedy, family man also.
I try my best.
Yeah?
I try
How
my
many kids
best.
do you have?
I have 2 kids. I have a son who's a senior in college, and I have a daughter who is in her 2nd year.
Oh,
Wow.
my question is, I might get a lot of flack for this, but you growing up from a wealthy, somewhat comfortable family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start dating, right? Girls know, you know, how much you're worth. You know what I mean? How was that transition when you were like getting seriously into marriage? Was there prenup involved, or was it just love at first sight, or was it your parents hooked you up? So, like, you know, Asians, right? Asians
Arranged
are-
marriage.
arranged marriage kind of thing. How was that? With
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like, actually, you know, my grandfather was not a wealthy man. He began the construction business, and built it from zero to something. But I'll tell you, like, for example, when I was, I think 13, I think I was in 6th or 7th grade. Like, it was this close to pull us all out of private school.
Oh.
And so, like,
Because of money stuff?
yeah. No, so
Yeah.
my dad did not get born into a rich family, nor did neither did I.
Oh,
Okay. But right around probably my 8th grade, 9th grade, by then my dad had some big success, and so by then, yeah, for sure, you know, it was there. But I didn't grow up like born into like silver spoon. That's not the way me and my 2 siblings grew up. But I will tell you that when I was in my 20s and I was dating and met would be my wife, Nicole, it didn't cross my mind, the money part or prenups or anything else.
Yeah.
I should have got a prenup. That was a doozy.
Yeah. Oh, man. I couldn't imagine.
No. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say
Yeah.
it. She's wonderful. Okay, and she was more than fair. And even notwithstanding that you know, no prenup, it was. I think the marriage actually was super successul.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't last, it lasted 15 years, and it produced, you know, our 2 wonderful kids and a lot of great experiences.
How
So
did you-
I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
I loved being married.
How did you grow individually through that experience of being? Because I think like every relationship is an opportunity to grow in some way, right? So
Yeah.
through your 15-year marriage, what could you take away from that? How did you grow as an individual?
Oh man, I mean, like, so much. I mean, responsibility, fatherhood, you know, trying to balance the word balance, you know, like, honestly, I think right now, like I'm 53, and a few years ago I made a real focused effort, almost a relentless effort to achieve 50, what I called 50-50. I said, at 50 years old, I'm going to be 50-50, meaning 50% of my life will be focused on business and 50% will be focused on my health and my relationships, both romantic and friendships. And that's a big deal for me because the scale was tipped more like 90% business, 10% everything else for so many years. And so I would say, Mike, that for me, it was more of a struggle to just sort of like, but when you're building something, when you're building companies and you're trying to succeed and you have aspirations to be an industry leader, like our companies had aspirations to be, there's no balance, man.
Yeah.
Like it's
you gotta be all
brutal.
in.
Yeah. I mean, I tried my best.
Yeah.
But put it this way, like right around now, right in the second half of my life, I think I'm getting decent at balance.
Yeah. Even though I guarantee you have some all-stars on your team, does it sometimes feel like, man, if I'm not there, I wonder what's going on? Does it ever feel like that for you or no?
No, it doesn't for me, just because I'm like ridiculously fortunate in that both at Black Sand Capital and at Kobayashi Group, and I'm not just saying this. I mean, I have got not just skilled and super hardworking people. I got people with good hearts, like across the board. You know what I mean? Like I'm pointing to my heart. Like it's. And when I say skilled, I mean very skilled.
Top of the game kind.
Yeah. We're just very, very fortunate. And no, if I disappeared tomorrow, I'm super confident that both firms would continue to be successful.
Chugging along. That speaks to your leadership and the systems you created and everything, and obviously the team you have. Right. That's awesome.
Hard work, man. It seems like everything you do, there's work involved, right? Your stand-up comedy, your relationship,
boxing,
boxing. Because I always see you, man.
He sees. I try hard.
I see you, man.
I try.
You haven't been boxing that long, or have you?
No.
Well, not to be honest, no. I mean, like not seriously like this. Like I took a few lessons way back in the day, but like with Mike and Nito, it's been a game changer for me.
What got you into it? What made you come back?
My daughter. So she got back from New York, and she was like, "Oh, let's try something." And I'm like, "What?" And she said, "Oh, why don't we try boxing? I've been watching that on social media. It looks fun or whatever. Let's try it." And so Mike knows the first day I came in, I brought Lucia in. And then her friends started coming back for the summer, and she stopped showing up.
She liked it though. She loved it when she did come. It seemed like she liked it a lot.
She loved it. And you could see she's athletic. She gets
athletic.
after it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually love boxing and what it does. I don't like to run. I'm not a runner or a swimmer, and I'm very committed to like trying to be fit. So boxing solves so much for me. It's not just the cardio, but also like we do push-up, we do all kinds of different stuff, right? But also the timing, the thinking, and then also
coordination,
hand-eye. And also when I watch a boxing match now, it's like interesting because I can kind of hear Mike and Nito in my ear going, "Hey, slip." Oh man, these guys are doing this.
Yeah.
That's the cool part. Honestly, that was the cool part for me too. Once I started actually learning the skills behind the art, is like seeing it done at the highest level, and now you understand. Because before, when you don't really know, it just looks like guys throwing hands. You know what I mean? It just looks like it looks like a scrap. But once you start like learning the skills and putting yourself through that, and then you watch it, it's like, oh, it helps click in a way.
It does. It is, to me. It's just so. I like boxing. I love to watch. I mean, MMA is cool, but I love boxing. So I'll go up to watch fights. Like I've seen Canelo, I've seen Mayweather, I've seen a lot of guys. Like, but now that I'm training with Mike and Nito, it's I can kind of see more. Put it that way. It's like twice as entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
because you're in it, and you're involved in it, and you kind of see, you understand it, the concept behind it, and then you kind of. Maybe you could put it in your your stand-up set.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Stay tuned. Hey, where can people get tickets to that set? By the way, let's plug the show.
Okay, you know what? We're literally just a week too soon.
Okay,
because I'm putting.
You're finalizing everything.
You're finalizing that, and then I'm gonna get it to you guys.
Okay. Well, we'll be sure to help plug that and shout that out.
I appreciate that.
We'll put some flyers in the gym and everything.
Oh yeah.
I imagine it's gonna be sold out. So
we're gonna. I think it will. The first one we
Yeah.
did before COVID sold out like in a day. So this one, which is going to be bigger,
Yeah.
it's not just me doing it; it's
Right.
other comedians. But I think it's going to sell out quick.
That's cool. Are you gonna try to do this annually, or maybe a couple times a year?
Oh man, like I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it all the
BJ's
time.
comedy show.
I'd
Yeah,
love to
I
do it all the
know,
time.
Daniel
man.
will fly in Kevin Hart himself.
You know what I should do?
What's up?
I should since I'm in real estate, I should develop like a killer
Club.
comedy
Comedy
club.
club.
Like Joe Rogan just did one in
the
Austin.
mothership.
Yeah. Like, and just a killer one where people can hone their
Yeah.
skills
Open mic
and have
kinda,
fun.
yeah.
I should
And
do
honestly,
that.
too, BJ, because like when the big comics come here, they go to Blue Note, they sometimes Blaisdell, like the here and there, the theater, Hawaii Theater. But it'd be sick to have a spot where these big names could just show, because there's a lot of fans out here. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so I've seen Kevin Hart out here, I've seen Chappelle out here, I've seen Cat Williams out here, and every single time it's a good response. People out here love comedy. Hawaiians love to laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No,
I
for sure.
I feel like if that existed, it would facilitate a lot of cool
so
stuff.
dope,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, and we have a lot of great comedians here.
Yeah,
right?
true.
I mean, local born. Like, I mean, when I was coming up, Andy Bumatai,
Yeah,
Rob
yeah.
Replinger,
Yeah.
Mel Caban. I mean, like, there's like, and even now today,
Yeah.
Tamua and those guys. Like, yeah, there's a lot of great comedians.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
I talk when we interview or talk to the fighters. They said going up when they're training, and then there's an event coming up, right? And just walking out to the ring and being on that ring, that high is so high that not everyone can experience that. Is that how you feel when you go upstate? Do you get nervous? Do you have butterflies? Does it feel like, oh my God, this is a rush that I love and I can do this all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I get that nervous in public speaking or comedy, but what does make me nervous though is when I'm doing the very first joke, the
Yeah.
first bit.
Yeah.
Because if that doesn't land,
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yes.
Right. So
But there's always a recovery.
yeah.
Always a recovery.
Yeah, you got to plan it. Yeah, you got to have a recovery and move on quick, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, butterflies for me is like a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a lot of anxiety.
But I think Chris meant like, let's say like you just knock out a set and the
Yeah.
standing ovation as you walk
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
How does that feel? You know what I mean? How does
Amazing.
that? Yeah.
Amazing. Like, so the last one, the big one we did at Sky, I did with Alika and James Mane and Hawaiian Ryan was there too.
Nice.
He was the MC. That one was killer.
Yeah.
Like it was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I got a really good response and
That must feel good.
Yeah.
oh,
Super
it felt so good. And like
Wow.
you said, Mike, it's unlike my other two businesses where it's delayed gratification.
Yes.
Right.
Instant.
For comedy, right?
Yeah.
Like you get it right there.
You know what? You know where you
Yeah.
finished right after.
It's the ATM, right?
Yeah.
Boom, and the money
yeah,
comes out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What kind of stuff do you do in your free time when you're not doing all the stuff we previously talked about? Do you have anything else we don't know about free time hobbies?
Oh man, I'm picking up golf again.
Really? Back out?
I'm back out there. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm taking some lessons and yeah. So I love golf. I actually travel quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just got back from Japan. I try and visit my kids a lot.
Yeah.
My son's in the Midwest. My daughter's in New York City, so I'll go visit them a lot.
Yeah.
I do like in the winter and spring if weather's right. Like actually I like to ski.
Nice.
And so sometimes I'll go get out to like Utah or Colorado,
Park
or
City.
maybe even Japan. Park City.
Nice.
Park City's awesome. I love Park City.
Yeah, I love Park City.
And plus, from Hawaii, it's the easiest, right? It's a direct flight
Yeah, I
into
love
Salt
that.
Lake. It's
Yeah.
only a 40-minute drive.
Right.
So unlike any other North American ski resort, where it's like two flights and a drive, or a flight and a long drive, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Park City's the best.
Nice. Yeah, I love Park City. I started learning snowboarding a couple years ago, and I fell in love with it. I haven't really dabbled with skiing at all.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you snowboard?
my daughter snowboards.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter snowboards. Me and my son ski. I tried snowboarding. It's so hard.
Yeah. It just feels
No,
being.
I can do it. It's just
Yeah.
that everyone I see that's really messed up
Yeah.
is from snowboarding. Yeah, well, it's the wrist,
The wrist,
wrists,
yeah.
and it seems like to me when I watch a snowboarder wipe out, that guy's like wiping
Yeah.
out downhill.
Yeah.
Whereas skiers tend to kind of like fall uphill
I see.
because they're kind of like, I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I know what you're
When they're
talking
carving, they're usually falling up. But yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen snowboarders catch an edge and go downhill like
and it's
fast.
it's linked up to their feet, so they're like tumbling over. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's yeah. Snowboarding looks so great and awesome when like
Yeah.
you have someone that's really good at it. But like I've seen
Yeah.
some other people like really wipe out in it.
Just being stuck with your feet. I feel like because with the skis, you know, it's your feet are still moving around. When you're just locked in like this, it does feel a bit weird. Feels a bit different. Yeah.
So what about your kids? Do you want them to? How do you, when you raise them? Is it something like, "Oh, I want you to take over the business," or is it more like you can do whatever you want?
The latter. I would rather have them do what they want. I have told both of them that what's most important is that they get their education first, and that when they commit to a career that they give it 100% effort. Right. So both of my kids are super hard workers, and they're both actually really bright people. My son, I'll give you an example. Like when he was 15, 16, I think he was a sophomore, he walked to McDonald's, didn't even tell us, got a job, and began working at McDonald's.
Wow.
By the way, during the week, like not during the summer, like while he's at school.
Wow.
Okay. And did it for like almost 2 years. And now, of course, we found out after a few weeks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But like all on his own. I asked him, "Why did you do that?" And he
Yeah.
goes, "Well, Dad, you always said that, people should get, when you're young, get food and beverage experience, construction experience,
Yeah.
sales." And so he wanted to knock off the food and beverage experience.
So wait, you
Nice.
recommended that to your kids?
I didn't even remember doing it. Yeah, but he said I did it,
Yeah.
and so he went off.
That makes sense, though,
and-
actually.
Yeah, and my daughter, she ended up getting a job in Waikiki at a deli, and began not as young as him, but like it was the summertime, not during the school year. But I'm really proud. Both my kids have strong work ethic.
Oh, good.
What was one of your favorite jobs that you had that was nowhere near your field that you're in now? It's like just one of your random jobs you had coming up.
Oh man, I would say you remember Liberty House?
Yeah, I know Macy's, the old Macy's.
the
Yeah.
old Macy's. Yeah. So when I was, I forget what it was. This is
Dang, Liberty House.
Liberty House, man.
Which one?
So the one at Ala Moana. And so I had a summer job there, and whatever, I'm like a salesperson,
Yeah.
right? And then they put me in men's fragrances.
Jakar,
Men's-
Cool Water.
Curve.
Paco Rabanne. Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
so Ralph Lauren, like, I would say definitely for me, man, like, that was quite an experience.
Yeah. Wow.
But I liked it because everything
Smell
was
good.
like, right. Yeah, you smell good. Yeah, well, girls like cologne.
Yeah.
Cologne. Yeah.
That's
So,
funny.
yeah, so I definitely got into that.
Oh, man. You've
And,
done
but
a
it's just
lot.
hilarious, like some 50-year-old guy coming up to like a guy who's like 17, 18, asking them like,
What's the best
what should
cologne?"
I wear? I'm like, well, in my experience, having gone on 4 dates, here's what you should wear with your wife of 25 years.
Exactly.
What cologne do you wear now?
I like two. So I like not Brioni. God, this is like crazy that I'm
Putting you on the
not-
spot.
It's gonna come to me in a heartbeat. I definitely like Ralph Lauren. Okay, and I do like Brioni. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you like, Mike?
I have a Burberry.
Excuse me.
one
No.
right now.
Ketone.
Ketone.
Has one I like.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I've never really been much of a cologne guy, but I have a Burberry bottle that when I do decide to cologne up.
Yeah. I'm more of an aftershave kind of guy. I'm a Isimiyaki.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
I like it sweet.
There you go. There you go. I bet they can't resist.
Yeah, they can't.
You guys funny.
Oh, man. So this is a great property. Thank you for inviting
Yeah,
us to
Park
your
Lane.
Park Lane.
Park
Yeah,
Lane.
we completed this, Chris, in 2017. So 6 years ago, just over 6 years ago.
Do remember
And-
this place? Being nothing.
Yeah.
Being nothing.
Just a parking
and-
lot.
Yeah.
It's actually the very first condominium project in Hawaii to do over 1 billion in sales.
Wow.
Yeah,
I wonder what's the average condo go for in here?
roughly 5 million.
Wow, that's crazy. Super nice place.
Yeah, man. It's
Yeah, and they're up 40% from the
Oh,
time that
yeah.
we completed the building till now. I think on average they're up about 40%. So we're
Wow.
very proud of that fact.
What's the occupancy?
The occupancy, I should know this. I don't know it, but I'm going to give it a stab based
Yeah.
upon like driving through the parking
Yeah.
garage. I would say it's probably around 70%.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
That's high.
so for example, for something like this, what do you do? I mean, it seems like you need a huge team, right? You got to get permits, you were saying, right?
Yeah.
You got to have your construction company to do it. You must have had architects or people who built
Designers,
or designed
yeah.
it a certain way.
Yeah.
Obviously you have your lawyers, then you have your whole team, right? That does the sales.
It's incredible. I'll
mean-
tell you, a lot of people don't know this, but
Yeah.
these bigger projects take a minimum of 5 years to get done. So the moment that you begin seriously working at it, not just thinking about, but working at it, to the moment that it's sort of like done and you're handing over units and you're conveying them, it's a 5-year endeavor.
That's
so
crazy.
it's a lot.
I was looking at some invoices for marketing for a marketing budget for a project around here, and I was just astonished by the numbers they were spending on marketing for
millions
before the project was even done.
Millions
It was
of dollars.
crazy.
Millions.
I was
of
like,
dollars.
I was thinking, don't the units sell themselves? Don't the realtors create marketing? I didn't know that you guys have a whole marketing team before the thing's even up.
Yeah, so you put together a marketing team, you have the brokerage team, you have the development team, then you have the design team, then you have to create a sales center, right? And within that sales center, usually there's a vignette, which is a way of saying basically that like you're building part of a unit, whether it be a kitchen or a bath, a master bath, like to give people a sense of the kind of materials and appliances that are being used in the development. The visuals, the model, and then you're also doing probably print ads. You're doing a lot of social media stuff.
All the 3D renderings and all this.
This isn't even my area. Like I don't work on it very much at all. But having interacted with paying for it, writing the checks for it.
You saw those invoices.
I like you saw the it adds up. It's
crazy.
To put up these buildings, it's a huge endeavor. So anyone that gets it up, anyone that can put up a large project deserves a lot of credit because I know how much work goes into it.
Yeah, even building a house. Think about this is way different, but building a house, there's a lot of little stuff a lot of people don't understand. What's your favorite car you've ever driven?
Oh, I love cars.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I love cars. I had a 488 Ferrari.
Wow.
White on black. So I love that one. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But my sports cars days though are over.
Yeah.
Why?
Why is that?
My back.
What happened?
The seat.
No, yeah. I always thought I had a lower back issue for like years. It's just because I was doing well enough to afford to buy sports cars. Because the bucket seat, the angle of your back.
Yeah.
So for like the longest time, I'd go get massages and chiropractic, all this stuff. And then the moment I like took time off from a sports car, I got a Range Rover where you're sitting much more sort of like at a
Super comfortable. Super comfortable.
Yeah, very vertical or whatever. Like literally within a week, my back pain, my back discomfort went away completely.
Wow.
So I am never going back to sports cars.
Maybe just a rental one day kind of thing.
Yeah,
if anything.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Exactly right. But yeah, no,
It makes sense,
I love the
though.
way they look. If they could create one where I'm sitting upright, I'll look at that.
Maybe you get a custom job, put one of those Range Rover seats in the Ferrari.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I love Ferrari, Lambos. Had a Maserati. I love cars.
That's awesome.
I love cars.
And now you're driving the
Range Rover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful car.
Yeah, it's a great car. I've never had an SUV before. Well, I did, but it was more my then wife's than mine.
Yeah.
So I didn't really. But yeah, I mean, like I've never really driven like and it's so, being up higher. I don't know. I like it. You know, you're not in as much a rush when you're in a sports car. You're like, hey, get on this corner. But yeah, no, I enjoy it.
How much recovery stuff do you? I know you train a lot. You box really intense. By the way, when BJ boxes, he doesn't complain once. He just works hard. He just he pretty much pushes himself, because you guys know how boxing is. Chris used to go to class too and still does. But you can push yourself as hard. You can do the same simple drill for that 1 minute duration to whatever, how long the time is. You can go balls to the wall, or you can just kind of go through the motions. And you're kind of one of those guys that goes balls to the wall. But what kind of recovery stuff do you do? Do you do any like cold plunge, sauna,
Yoga.
cupping, yoga?
Yeah, so I do. I'm lucky. We're lucky that in Park Lane we have a men's spa area that's got a cold plunge and a jacuzzi.
Nice.
So I do that at least probably 3-4 times a week.
Wow.
There's a sauna I use as well, but I can't stay in like my son. Bert can stay in that cold plunge for like 5 minutes.
Wow.
I last 10 seconds.
The cold plunge?
And I'm out of there.
Yeah.
You know, I get it's just so cold.
Yes.
So I do that stuff. I just began getting regular massage therapy.
Nice.
And I'm loving that. I'm spoiling myself. I get it once a week.
Awesome.
So, and I mean, well, maybe 2-3 times a month, put that way. And then on Saturdays, I actually do 3 workouts.
Wow.
And
what are those?
well, I do weights. I do something called Legree, and then I also do Pilates.
Wow. Man.
Yeah, so Pilates is more restorative and more like recovery. Yeah, to me.
Yeah, I've always wanted to try that over Pilates. Have you ever tried Pilates, Chris?
Yeah, it's kind of like yoga, but a little bit more intensive.
There's like a machine involved too, or
Yeah,
something.
Yeah, you're on a reformer, you know.
Stretches you
So
out.
you're doing your it's a full workout, but it's the guy that I go to is really great, and so I do that once a week, and and Saturday that's my last workout of the week. So I do 14 workouts.
Wow,
Dang.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, recently retired fighter Martin Day. He was telling us every week he has to hit 10. Even though he's retired, he still hits his 10 workouts. 10 workouts a week.
Yeah. Although 5 of my 14 are only 9 minutes. So
What are those? Sprints.
no, I took my garage and turned it into like a little gym.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So basically, I do a 9-minute what they call Tabata. So you take a 60-second time frame, and then 40 seconds I'm working really hard.
20
and then
second
20
rest.
seconds rest, and I do that 9 times. But I do it Monday through Friday.
Explosive kind of calisthenics.
No, not explosive. More like, but hard. Like hard.
Yeah.
Like by the end of the 9 minutes, Chris, like I'm like winded. Yeah.
That's
I
sweet,
have,
though.
I have these Russian kettlebells.
Yeah.
So the Russian kettlebells in there and other stuff.
Yeah.
This may be a little personal, but why are you so into the physical aspect? I mean, did you go through some traumatic health issue or something, or is it something you just passionate about good health? Because there's a lot of people, you know, health is wealth. You know, we all hear that a lot, but there's a lot of people who don't put in the work. You know, they always make excuses or reasonings to be so busy.
Well, it's super hard. It's super hard, especially if like, you know, like, I mean, everyone's working. Everyone nowadays, right? Everyone's working long hours, and there's a lot of stress. And so, you know, the thing you have to think about is what you just said, right? Which is like, what is the most important thing, right? We're given one of these things, right? And so I've just made a decision that I should, to the best of my ability and my budget, I should invest in you know, getting and keeping fit. So, but yeah, it's super hard. Like it's not easy. Like especially the most important, the hardest part's the diet. Actually, it's not even the workouts. The workouts is the last 10%.
Especially if we're really like high op tempo, you're busy all the time. You know, eating the right stuff is
travel.
Unless you're super
like,
prepared.
travel.
And you got kids, and you're gonna eat the leftover McNuggets. I mean, like I went through it when my kids were, so I get it. But like I have to admit, it's almost impossible. To in nowadays to like be really fit. It's hard because what you put in your mouth, it's just there's so many ways companies have figured out to put sugar in things, and man, it's addictive.
And all those labels are pretty much just fake.
Oh,
non-GMO,
of
this,
course.
that.
It's all marketing.
They'll
man.
put whatever label that makes you buy it.
Yeah. No, I believe in it. I believe in it.
Yeah.
I during COVID I walked. I didn't have any traumatic I don't have any major health issues, but like my father during COVID we were walking and I asked him one day, I was like, "Hey, if you could go back and look at something in your life, like what would name two things. Two things that like are like the most like important, like the movers of the needle in the dial, right?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Number one is health." And then he said, "Number two is for sure health."
Wait. Number one is health, and then number two for sure health.
That's how important it is.
That's how important it is. So when he said that to me, that was, a week, maybe 2 weeks before my 50th birthday. And on my 50th birthday is when I decided. So the timing of that's kind of interesting, but that's when I was never out of shape. I was in decent shape, but now I'm like, as Mike knows, I'm really devoted to it.
Yeah. 6-pack, shredded, huge shoulders.
Try.
Ready for a fight? Looking for a fight? Anybody? 50.
Oh man,
That's
Seems
awesome.
like you have a very good relationship with your father.
Yeah. I
Yeah?
do. I have a good relationship with my kids, my father, my siblings, my friends. Like right now, I got a really, really good, solid group of people around me. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Because I didn't have that growing up.
Oh.
You know, that immigrant parents, they were always working. Obviously, there was some language barriers. But all the questions that I was asking you, it's through my experience with my father and seeing my father's friends, because I've seen a lot of wealthy, Asian wealthy people who basically dropped gave kind of the generation wealth went to their kids, but the kids were not successful. I mean, they squandered a lot of the money, and not all, but what I'm saying is I've heard stories like that.
Yeah.
Also, I was always curious about the relationship, if it's a family business, right?
Right.
The relationship between obviously the parent and then their sibling. I mean, the sons, right?
Yeah, no, my relationship with my dad was similar to yours. Like my dad, although not an immigrant, I honestly didn't see much of him until I was 17. I did not have that much of a relationship with my dad. But it's not because he didn't want to. He wanted to. It's just that my dad was working. Like it's called work, right? It's called making a living, right? And like, but he had aspirations to be, very successful. So he's got to commit a lot of time and effort. But I was A-okay with that because, I had my mom and we had her, and then my dad, when I was in high school, decided to spend more time and just the nick of time before I went away. And now we have an amazing relationship, and I love him and he loves me, and it's all good. You know?
Was that kind of your approach when you had your kids too? Were you more always on, working and stuff, and then saw them, for the important moments, or were you there kind of a little bit more than your pops was?
More the latter. Yeah. So basically like there's a lot of my dad in me and my grandfather in me. Like but because of what I experienced growing up, I wanted to be more there for my kids. Yeah. So I worked hard, but then every time I came home, and I mean, and my kids know, like I try and spend as much time with my kids as possible, playing with them, whatever. And like, I'm like a fun parent.
Yeah.
I only put my fist down like once or twice a year, but yeah, no, for sure. I love being a dad.
Yeah.
Right? And love spending time with my kids. Yeah.
Do you follow like world events, politics at all? A little bit?
I do. I mean, not passionately.
Yeah.
But like,
From a distance.
I'll read like on my email, I'll read like the headlines and stuff. If there's an article I want to read about, I'll pick it up. Yeah.
What do you think of this whole Ukraine war thing? For me, that one's super interesting, and I've been tracking it since it happened.
Yeah.
Because I just think that I never thought in the current times with the levels of communication, how much data and how much communication we have, even nation to nation, that we would get to a point where we're bombing condo buildings and this kind of stuff, like the stuff that's happening in Ukraine. What are your thoughts on that?
I gotta tell you, I mean, like I was in shock, horror. Yeah. I mean, to think in this day and age, right? But like,
especially from a predominant leader like Putin, you know what I mean? Like he's.
Yeah, I mean, he's not someone to be messed with.
Yeah,
you're right. But when he made that decision, I thought he wanted that that
The
bay,
dump,
that area where the ships could come in.
Yeah.
I thought that's what he was after.
Yeah.
But man, it's
It's drug out over a year. You know, what I mean,
over a year, and then
we pump billions.
From what I understand, billions. From what I understand, also most of the people that are working or fighting that war now from the Russian side aren't even Russians.
Wow.
They're like hired mercenaries.
Wow.
I shouldn't say that. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Maybe not most, but a lot.
I mean,
of
but that's
them.
kind of how war is these days. If you look at like what we were doing in Iraq and Afghanistan with Blackwater and these different, basically civilian special operation groups. You know what I mean? So the government doesn't have to take responsibility if they need to go like this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of like private militaries and even if you look at the Wagner group or whatever.
Yeah, the Wagner group, they just
yeah.
shot that guy down.
Yeah.
You know, there's also the people in Ukraine have such a strong constitution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like backbone, strength.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're fighting back,
Yeah.
right? So that's why it's drawing out.
Yeah.
And also, I heard they're like designing drones, like civilians
Yes.
in Ukraine are designing drones to try and go in to like
Yeah.
Moscow to try and like
I think
get Putin.
I think they've had a few hits. I mean, even one of their biggest naval shipyards, they took out the admiral, or in the shipyard. So that's a big deal. It's a big strike for a country small country to get inside deep in Russia and take out. Actually, no. In general, from my knowledge and everything I'm tracking, is Ukraine has taken out a lot of their leadership in the military. Like they're targeting generals and stuff like that, and they've been pretty successful at taking a lot of guys out. It's pretty crazy, you know.
No, that's not. Those people are strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's terrible.
It's so terrible. Their country will never be the same. It's ruined. And Ukraine, by the way, was such a beautiful country. Like it's so beautiful.
Have you been there?
I haven't, but I dated a girl who was from there,
Yep.
and I remember she used to talk about it a long time ago and show me photos and this and that. And obviously when the war broke out, like I said, I was just shocked that it even happened.
Yeah.
So I just started going hard into research about Ukraine, the history of the whole situation, and everything I saw. The place is beautiful, and
Right.
a lot of those it's damaged now. It's pretty bad over there. You know. You're talking about a year of war.
It'll get rebuilt.
Yeah.
It'll get rebuilt. It's going to take a long time. But
Long time.
It'll get rebuilt. But I tell you, I mean, I think that was a very, very, very.
Do you ever get concerned with on our side of the world here in the Pacific? Do you ever get concerned with China and Taiwan and how that may affect us in the future here in Hawaii?
It's not front of mind for me,
Yeah.
Mike. I will say that we're the only state out of 50 that have all 6 branches of the military government of the military present,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And we even have Space Force, right, which is the 6th now,
Yeah.
right? So, and even though you don't see it, whatever, lights underwater, but like we got a lot of nukes here in Hawaii
We do.
in the submarines. I
Yep.
mean, Hawaii is not to be messed with
Yeah.
from a military standpoint.
Yeah, we're pretty well
We're
defended.
very strategic,
Right.
right? Here in Okinawa, very strategic locations for the
Yeah.
U.S. military. So, I don't stay up at night worrying about it. I mean,
Yeah.
like when North Korea sent that missile.
Oh, yeah.
That
Tried
was-
to reach Hawaii.
That's a
I was
great
like,
one.
Oh my
Where were you when
good-
that happened?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was here. I was here in Hawaii.
Were you here in Parkland? No, Parkland wasn't even finished back then, was it?
No.
Well,
Did you freak out?
Do you remember
Did
when you got the
freak
alert?
out when you got that text, that alert?
Yeah, I did.
What were your first thoughts?
I thought it was bullshit.
Really? Right
Yeah.
after the jump.
No, but you know what? What do I know? I just
Yeah.
my initial gut, but obviously after a few seconds, you're like,
Yeah.
this is like real.
Wait a minute. You're like, wait, it may be real actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And then like the governor lost his password or something, so he couldn't let us know that it was a joke or
Yeah.
didn't happen or.
That was a
Yeah.
crazy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't more. Maybe there was. I just never heard about it. I'm surprised there wasn't more into the investigation of like more clarity of like what really went down there.
Yeah.
Maybe there was, and maybe I just missed it. But
There's a lot of military exercises, in the
Yeah.
Pacific area. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Rim
there was a
pack.
Russian ship or submarine or ship that was
Yeah.
whatever 500 miles
Yeah.
off of the coast of Kauai or whatever.
it's pretty
A few months
standard.
ago. It happens. Yeah,
Yeah, it happens a
it's
lot.
it's more than we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually stationed out here in Kaneohe, and I served on a platform called the P3 Orion, And it's basically just like a big spy plane. And we used to patrol these waters, and obviously we deploy and stuff. But yeah, we'd see all kinds of different intelligence ships try to come through and see what they can peek on. And we would track them. And the term is flap. We would flap. So as soon as we'd go fly over, let's say it's a Russian warship, right?
Yeah.
We'd go fly and we'd buzz around and observe them, let them know we're watching them. And as soon as we're heading off station, another airplane would come in.
Yeah.
And we do stuff like that sometimes just to fuck with them also. You know what I mean? Just to be like, hey, we're out here also, you know?
Yep.
And dude, I'll be honest, as America, we're kind of the bullies. You know, we kind of are.
In military, right?
Yeah, in military, we go all around. We go into people's standoffs. We buzz by their aircraft carriers. You know, we kind of flex, you know, all around the world. And whatever. But what I'm trying to say is when this stuff happens and they pull up on us, what do we expect? You know what I mean? We're doing the same thing to them. We're pulling off their shores. You know, we have our nuclear submarines right off their coast and this and that. So
yeah, I know there's a lot of conflict, especially in that area, right? In Asia and Taiwan right now, and so it's having a strong military. We're seeing right now why you really don't want one, you need one.
Yeah.
We're very lucky, right, in our country, right? You got not Hawaii, but the continental U.S. You've got 2 friendly neighbors to the north and south.
Right.
2 of the largest bodies of water in the world to your east and west.
We're positioned
Not only
so
that,
nice.
if someone landed on shore, I mean,
we're strapped up.
I think the citizens are more armed than the military.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, like,
and they're practicing every weekend. You know, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
The boys
Try and take
is
over
ready.
like 1 block in Dallas, Texas. Good luck. I mean, like,
it would be tough for any
crazy.
country.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
I think Mexico will become one of our closest allies in the future because, you know, with the food they produce for us.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I think just geographically, and especially if things keep going the way they are with China and everything, I think we're going to end up real close to Mexico.
Yeah.
In a political standpoint.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So, what you got, Chris? I see your gears turning.
I actually want to talk to you more about your stand-up comedy.
Okay.
What do you got?
Okay, so because me and Mike, we talk about this too, you know, because, you know, I told you he bombed. He told me his story about
I bombed hard.
You know.
No, but he didn't prepare though.
Exactly.
Yeah, he didn't prepare.
Exactly.
He didn't prepare.
But you are.
It almost doesn't count.
No, it counts.
It still counts because
counts.
For me, it's actually good because it takes courage to get up there.
It does.
Yeah. I agree.
I have actually more to that backstory. We were actually before you finish your question. I want
go
you.
ahead.
Do you remember your question?
Of course.
Okay. So me and my buddy were literally over here at the park, and he's like, "Dude, you want to go to this open mic?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Let's do it." So he makes a post, bing, and he's like, "Well, we're coming. We're gonna do the open mic, this and that." So the owner of the bar, or whoever's managed their social media, sees it and like clicks on my profile and goes, you know, I have some photos on my profile where I'm trying to like basically model. So they're like, so she reposts it. She's like, he's cute, but let's find out if he's funny. So now this thing, and then I repost. So I have this thing out floating around, and now I feel the pressure. So I felt it all day, and then the open mic was until like 8 p.m.
Oh,
dude, and I bombed so bad.
No, but you decided that day to do it, right? So it wasn't as if you had time to really. Yeah.
It's not like I came in with my best stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I came in with nothing.
Yeah, he was gonna freestyle. So that was the whole thing that I was thinking, like, that's what I assumed, right? All comedians, they'll just go up because they're just naturally funny, right? But that's when I said, oh man, you had a whole set. You actually prepared for this, like a job. So my question is, if you know guys like Joe Coy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's Filipino, but he's very popular in Hawaii, you know?
Very.
You know, and I'm thinking, I think he relates to the island lifestyle, the jokes he makes and things like that. I mean, do you guys bounce off each other when you guys talk? Do you guys talk about your culture, your Hawaiian culture as
right?
Skits? Is that what they set?
Yeah, set. So Joe and I are not friends.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was a mutual friend introduced us after his last show that he had like 5-6 years ago in Honolulu, and so we actually went backstage and I met him and started talking. It was funny. He was like, because I don't know, I was like wearing jeans and a t-shirt, whatever, and like baseball cap
Yeah, yeah,
whatever. And then so this friend of ours goes like, oh, this is BJ. He's trying to get into comedy. He's like trying to figure it out, whatever. And so he's talking to me, and then like after about 5 minutes, I realized like this guy thinks that like I don't do anything. I'm just trying to be a comedian.
He thinks you're an open micer who got lucky.
Yeah, he's like, I know you're probably struggling. I go, Joe, let me just, can I reframe this for you? I am way wealthier than you. He laughed.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I just need a little advice, Joe.
Hey, Joe, this isn't. I'm telling you, it's a passion, not a really. I don't need it. No, it's funny. So, but he does like he was very helpful. Like he spent probably like 20 minutes, which for me was a lot. Like talking about comedy and his experiences, and talking about telling stories versus telling jokes. Have it be very personal. And I think what he does resonates with people from Hawaii just because of the multi-ethnic background he has, right? Yeah, the Filipino and his impression of his mom. Whatever,
oh my goodness, yeah.
Look at Michael Jackson. So he's amazing. I've talked to other comedians too, and I always ask for advice. I love it
because your style is more your life experiences, right? That's what makes it so fun. Because sometimes
my style actually is more entertainment than even comedy. So like I like do, comedy is the core of it. But I'm trying to entertain people, right? And so. I think people want to hear stories, right?
Of course.
Like, people hate it when you go to like something where not a comedy, but a speaker or whatever, and it's just a bunch of graphs on a PowerPoint. They hate that shit, right? People want to hear stories.
Make it more relatable.
Do you ever do any crowd work, like busting balls in the crowd?
The last one I did.
That's always my favorite part.
I did a little bit.
Crowd work.
It's risky though, right?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, because anything can happen,
and you can offend somebody,
you don't know what they're gonna say, right? And also, like what Mike just said, if you offend them and then they spend the next part of your set trying to like heckle you, whatever, that's brutal, right? Like imagine like trying to like get this out and someone's like freaking giving you shit.
Especially when you're trying to hit your marks and then you got some. I can see where it messes you up.
Yeah, no, for sure. So for me, like, I do a little bit of it. Yeah. But most of it's storytelling. Yeah. Most of it's storytelling.
Man, I love crowd work. When I see a good comedian just go up there and just start just destroying the crowd, it's so funny to me. I've actually sat first row in like a Comedy Store La Jolla one time, and it was like literally a random day, and it was like 10 people in the room, and I sat in the front row with the girl I was dating at the time, and I just took it. I was like,
speaking of,
he was roasting me, dude. It was hilarious.
Giving a hard time. So like this is, by the way, this is obviously a true story. This is in my last set I did.
Oh yeah.
So this is like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. My girlfriend at the time, we're not together anymore, but we had beautiful dinner in Chinatown at Senia. It was like great, but she had a tough day and she was drinking a lot of dinner and then like drank like way too much, right? And she's not big. Right? She's tall, but she's not a big person. So she just got overserved, but then we were going to Ali Wong's show at Hawaii Theater, so we walked over. And I could tell that she was like a little wobbly, right? I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "No, I think I'm okay." So I had front row seats. And if you know Hawaii Theater, you can put your feet on the stage. That's how close you are to the stage, the way the alignment is, right? And so before they changed it. And so Ali's walking on the stage, and my girlfriend, and we'd been dating for a few months by then, but like she kind of lunge, like does this and pukes on the stage as Ali is walking onto the stage. So Ali kind of walks up, and my girlfriend's like kind of doubled over, like her hair is like all over. I'm trying to keep her hair out of her face, whatever. And Ali Wong makes this motion with her mouth. Can you swear on this thing?
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
she said, "Dude." She didn't say it, but she mouthed the words, "Dude, what the fuck?" and then I mouthed the words back to her.
I'm sorry.
I said, Allie, I'm so sorry. I mouthed the word. I think she might have told that story to someone. I forget. But anyway, the true story. Like
Wow.
that was how I met Ali Wong.
Oh, this is actually a very good.
Did Ali bring it up on the set and to start her set? She didn't.
I would not know.
She didn't. Oh, you took off?
We'd leave. She threw up on the stage at the Hawaii Theater. Like I got out of there. I mean, Uber still won't let me back in.
Wow.
Dang.
She threw up in the Uber like twice. Like,
man.
I got whatever negative stars you get.
Shout out to Lyft. Hit up Lyft if you need a ride, guys. Shout out to Lyft. Man.
I guess you didn't date her again, huh?
Actually, we got pretty serious after that.
Oh, that's actually a very good segue. I want to know how hard or how easy is dating life now for you? Like, obviously you have so much more experience that, you're not just going to date anyone, obviously, but finding in this dating world, especially a person like you, how difficult is it?
Yeah, I never did. I never did any of the dating apps, whatever.
Yeah.
Tinder.
I think my son met his current girlfriend through one of the date. You name the thing.
I felt like it's pretty common these days.
Yeah, no, it's like
For a while
it's like
now,
it's like more common than not, right?
Yeah.
But like guys that are from my age, like whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like it's impossible. Like I just can't.
Yeah.
That's not true. I tried it once.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid to have someone see me in Hawaii because I just felt like maybe I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. You didn't want to be
well
put into
known
that,
or something.
Yeah.
I felt insecure about putting my face on a dating app, so I just didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then a friend of mine was like, I was gonna be in San Francisco. This is like years back, and he goes, oh, you can set it so that it's just this area.
Yeah.
So
Somewhere where you don't live.
not
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're kidding me. So then I got on this thing called, is it Bumble?
Yeah, Bumble.
Bumblebee,
Yeah.
whatever. And so I get on it, and I'm finding success. Like you're swiping, and then you're getting good responses, whatever. And so I'm getting set up for like these to meet.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden,
Oh, no.
boom, one of them is from Hawaii.
Oh.
And I'm like,
She's like, BJ?
BJ, is
that you?
Yeah.
Is it really you,
Oh
BJ?
my goodness.
Such an idiot. Like, so, but I. So
Did you ever get word
no.
back that people saw you on there? Or no?
No. Actually, it was someone's sister. It was someone's sister, and I don't know. I can't do it. The swiping that doesn't. I would prefer to walk up to someone in real life
Exactly.
and risk getting shot
Yeah.
down than swipe something.
At least you know what they
Exactly.
look like because you're just looking at them right now. On that app, you really don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
my eyes are a great app.
For sure.
Dude,
That's always the risk.
But we're like we're dinosaurs, right? So it's totally different now.
Yeah.
I've talked to my daughter and my son about dating, and it's so.
What advice do you give them for finding a partner?
I don't. I don't.
That's smart. My parents don't give me any advice about.
Yeah.
It's a different generation now,
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I do tell more my daughter is I tell her that I'd like her to find someone who would be like an important part of her life, but not her whole life.
Yeah.
Because I can see sometimes you're younger, you get idealistic and you're kind of all in on someone.
Yeah.
Like, but someone else isn't going to fix you, right? Or make you whole or whatever.
Yeah.
So I try to impress that upon both my kids, that part of it. But that's about it. I don't do a lot of preaching to my kids.
Yeah.
I just have fun.
Yeah.
Lift them up, encourage them, let them do their thing.
Yeah.
No teacher like experience. You know what I mean? And I'm sure both of them will go on dates and they'll learn stuff and they'll grow from it.
That's exactly right. Like I'm a big believer in that, Mike. Like I think experience, like your mom says, don't do that. You're going to fall down and skin your knee.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Let the kid fall down, skin the knee, bleed.
Now he knows.
And they cry. And then now they know, right? Like, so actually I totally believe in that. I believe that experience is way better teacher than advice.
Yeah. Honestly, in the gym too, we used to our gym used to be pretty much just like cardio boxing, and like we kind of decided like we can't just teach half the game. You know, we can't just teach how to punch. We got to teach how to defend and like the full art of what it is. You know what I mean? So a lot of our members, we get them touch sparring right away. They're just playing around just to get that experience of what it feels like to be standing in front of someone else. Throwing, you know, even though we're throwing light and we're just, but it's the experience, you know, it's the experience of, they get to understand, okay, that's why coach says keep your hands up. That's why this slip works. That's why these moves are preset, and that's why we master them and learn them, because they work. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
And that's why I love it there, is that you guys do teach kind of like the holistic approach to it, right? Like, and you and I sparred that one day, very light.
That was super fun.
I know you were taking it so easy, but it was fun, you know,
it's
like,
fun.
and it's you know, exhilarating, and, you know,
I think it's the funnest part, really. I mean, mine is like, you know, when you're going super fast and like the damage, but it's fun just to, cause you feel alive. You know, you have to be hyper focused and the consequences. So, you know, whenever we do stuff where we feel alive and we're present, we're locked in the moment, that feels good. I think a lot of people like that, you know, that aspect of it.
Yeah, because there's a lot at risk.
Yeah.
Right, because you get clipped, that could be a bad day. Right. So and that's happened to me. You know, so before, not recently, but like. Yeah, so it's there's a lot at stake, and I kind of like when there's a lot at stake.
Yeah. Are you a water
Risk
guy?
taker.
Do you go out on the boat or jet skis or anything? You're a water guy at all?
I'm not a big water guy. Yeah, I mean, I know how to surf. I know how to surf, longboard, whatever. I'm not ripping and stuff. And my daughter and I will go when she's back, you know, here and there. But like, I'm not a huge. I go to the beach. I go in the water, get out of the water. Like, I'm like one of those guys. Yeah.
That's another one where I feel like I don't surf that much either. But I used to, like when I first moved here, you know, just to kind of get my gills wet. But that's another one I feel super alive, you know, super in the moment when you're surfing, because the ocean is so dynamic, and you know, it's
big set comes in.
Yeah, big sets.
Heart's going.
Same thing. Your health's on the line. You know what I mean? If you're depending on the day, of course, in the spot, but you know, those moments keep us alive. I feel like
I agree, and I think there's not enough of that. People aren't getting enough of those moments nowadays.
Challenging themselves.
Yeah, it's too
everything's
coddled.
comfortable.
Too coddled, too comfortable, too like, oh, let's get inspired, or what motivate. Screw that.
How can AI and all this stuff coming out, how can it affect your business? And have you guys started implementing any artificial intelligence into what you guys are doing?
We haven't. You know, to be honest, I don't know that much about it, Mike. I mean, the chat. What's it called?
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. You know, I've a couple people have showed me what that can do. It's amazing. As far as like putting documents together and outlines and papers and stuff like that. I think my son used it.
He's a writer, your son?
He's a writer, really bright kid. And so I jury's still out. It certainly seems like one of the most disruptive things that could happen to any industry is if AI were to like be a significant presence.
Yeah, I'm curious how because I know it's pretty much going to affect every industry. I'm just curious how it's affecting, you know, real estate development.
Oh, I think it could have a huge impact. I can think of a dozen ways how architecture, law,
especially with the marketing. I mean, almost every marketing company is using it already. Really.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Well, I mean, not every, but I know a lot. Like the top guys are.
Yeah,
you know, the top guys are using.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, to put together material.
Yeah, and then they can just look at the analytics as far as something as simple as like what ad hits, and then they can say, okay, the AI will only generate ad based off all the ads it saw on the internet.
Yeah,
and this is the best one, and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But
they also make the documents.
They
all make the documents for the legal documents and all that. It's almost like, I mean, you obviously do need a lawyer, but it does majority of the work for you.
Yeah, no, I could see how the legal field will be.
Even accounting in the future. I feel like these AIs are smart. They can do the numbers themselves. You know, you don't physically need an accountant anymore. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know for sure, but
BJ, I got a question for you. If someone, I'm gonna paint a picture. A guy, he's in his mid-20s. He's got 50 grand in the bank. He wants to. He's working a normal job. He wants to maximize his potential with his assets. What would you suggest somebody doing right now?
Mid-20s.
Got a little bit of cash.
Yep.
What kind of stuff could someone like that do to grow?
I'll give you a thought that's kind of like different, which is I personally think, notwithstanding AI, that the most important skill that any human being can possess is, after being physically fit, would be communication skills, both verbally and in writing. Again, notwithstanding AI, but verbally, probably most importantly, and not just the words, but body language, eye contact, posture. A lot of that, I think, is missing now. It's very, very valuable. And so I think that the 50,000, taking some of that and investing in a communications course, public speaking course, being able to communicate really clearly, not just one-on-one, but also in groups or in a boardroom or even public speaking, right? 100, 200 people. I think it really is valuable. Over the course of my career, I've seen, careers get made from people who are risk takers who can communicate really well. You can have someone super smart, really well educated, but they don't take a risk and they don't communicate well. How do you know? So it's my 3 cents, Mike. I would definitely invest in yourself,
right?
As opposed to like buying like that stock or this stock or buying real estate.
Develop yourself.
Yeah, at that age, if you told me 30s or 40s, it's different. But I think in your mid 20s, you're just out of college. Like, hopefully, you're a really good communicator, but most people are not. So, if you don't possess that skill to invest the time and energy and to buy a course, either online or in person, or get a coach, like you mentioned, the comedy coach, like to help you. I mean, like it's invaluable.
Yeah, that's interesting you said that, because actually, Mr. Schreider told me that as well. He's like, he's like, a lot of people know stuff, but there's a few people that can really teach it and communicate it to others and multiply what they know by passing it on to others. You know what I mean? And that stuck with me. It's like, it's true. It's like, if you can really, explain and teach things and communicate well, what can grow, in someone else and just cause everything to grow. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can almost replicate yourself. You can train someone to knows what you know and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, Jay, is that Jay Schreider?
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree with Jay.
Right.
I think that those communication skills are oh man, it's just so important. Being able to do that, I think is almost invaluable. I mean, like, I think what's important too is to be able to communicate with words that people understand.
Yes.
Some people will get into communication and start looking at words that 90% of people don't know.
They're talking over the people's head.
I use the word aptitude. What's the word aptitude? It means you can do it, right? I mean, like, so like, basically, I think being able to communicate something that's complex or difficult in a layperson's terms very simply, so that a 5-year-old can understand you. That is so hard. And also, by the way, communicating with brevity. Right, versus like long-winded people.
Right.
Like, I love people that can communicate with
few words.
Yes. Yeah, and so each word's sort of impactful.
Yeah. Back to kind of like writing those jokes, cutting out all the extra words, just the meat and potatoes of what needs to be said for people to understand and grasp the concept of the joke.
Jerry Seinfeld is so good at that.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld's he's one of the guys I was watching a lot.
I love watching Seinfeld.
And also his writing. So like he writes everying out on those yellow legal pads, but cutting out all of the excess fat, all of the, even in like a project, like in real estate development, like it's invaluable. Removing the unnecessary. The Japanese are really good at it. I was just in Japan for 10 days, mostly on work, but some leisure. And I mean, like,
they just do everything better.
But I think in communication skills, less is more too. Nowadays, less is more.
And being able to explain things in different ways, from different angles, and like you said, based off who you're talking to. That's a real sign of a great communicator, someone who can, like you said, explain to anybody. And each and individual person he explains that skill set or whatever that to, he's tailoring it to them based off what he knows about them. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And then that person also understands what you do or what your interests are. Right. You ever talk to someone that has like some big job title and like you ask them what they do and like after 10 minutes you're like,
Huh?
You don't know what they do.
the hell
Yeah.
they're doing.
Exactly.
But those are the good guys. Some guys can't even explain what they do. It's like, it's just a lot. It's just, and maybe because they never really got it down to those, cut all the fat and say, this is what I do. These, you know what I mean?
It's
Put
the
into-
elevator pitch, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you get in on the ground floor, and by the 5th floor, which is
Yeah.
about 20 seconds, you'll
Yeah.
be able to tell someone what you do for a living.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got a question on a segue. How about in your 40s? If a general person is in their 40s,
Same situation, a little cash stacked up.
well, yeah, kind of more of a business thing.
Uh.
Two things I'm curious about. Is it better to borrow as much as you can to start a business, or is it better to get rid of all your debt and then start a business? Does that make sense? Is it if you have more power that they give you lending power, is it better to keep on borrowing to start and making an empire, or is it more that you get rid of all your debt so you're debt free and then start building your empire while you're debt free?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And in your 40s,
In your 40s now.
you're probably got a really good career under your belt, and you're trying to become an entrepreneur, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Or, so that's a totally different equation. And maybe you have some kids, so there's a lot more risk.
Yeah.
Right. So my advice for someone in their 40s, given what I just described that person as, is maybe a couple of kids and yeah, maybe some stuff saved up, but like he's, that guy or gal's got some risk on the line, right?
Yeah.
I tend to go for a little less debt. I think you can just sleep at night, think clearer. I think when you've got those interest payments coming at you every month, and you're trying to get your business going, and as an entrepreneur, it's one of the most difficult things you'll do in this world is be an entrepreneur. Right, starting a business like you guys are doing from scratch,
Yeah.
right? Like getting people to come on and trying to find revenue and trying to find a way to make a buck at this. It's super hard. It's way easier to go get a job.
Yes.
Yes.
But to create a new business, to me, why add on at the beginning that additional pressure? For someone in their that's in their 40s, that would be my advice. I think it would be a little different if that person were younger, didn't have kids.
So 20, 20,
Yeah,
early 30s.
maybe if they could get some debt, right? Maybe that wouldn't be so bad. They don't have like the tuition, that, you know what I mean, or the mortgage. Like maybe they don't own a home yet, so
Maybe
it
no
kind of
kids.
depends on a different. Yeah, because mortgage, home ownership, kids, that stuff changes everything.
Yeah.
So, but
your priorities rearrange when you have obviously the kids, right?
to me, you probably already have debt.
Yeah.
If you're in your 40s, you probably still have a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage. Maybe you're halfway through paying it off. Who knows? By then, to me, your kids are probably like what, still in school. So if one of them's in private school, that's tuition. Even if they're not, that's still kids are expensive.
Right.
So to me, why take on the additional debt? You've already got the debt on your home. Just try and do the business without it.
Have you
In
ever?
fact, the better approach might be to get a partner, right? So that you can share the risk.
Yes.
Versus borrow it from a bank.
That actually brings up a question I was going to ask you earlier. Do you have a right hand man? Like if someone who's like your right hand man, like you're Robin to your Batman.
I'm dead serious. I have several. Within my companies, my siblings, Patrick and Alana, are definitely both right hand man and woman. Right.
Are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
You are the oldest.
Yeah, I'm the oldest. It goes myself, my brother, and then my sister. We're each 2.5 years apart. And then at Black Sand, to be candid with you, I've got some great people, principals at Black Sand, who are each of them in their own way my right hand man. So, and I'm not saying that to be elusive. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I have 5 or 6 of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Better than one. You lose one, I got 4 left. I'm just kidding.
In business,
Just
if you
joking,
you count them on one hand, right?
Yeah.
And then in your friendships, you count them on one hand, right? So why
That's
not?
a good one. Count them on one hand.
Yeah.
Your close friends, your business associates, one hand.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah,
a good one.
You must have. I mean, obviously, I always go back to your lifestyle, just because you being well known in the financial side, I'm
Yeah.
sure you've met people whose intentions wasn't always the best. Meeting you, right? Let's say they come with the intention of looking like they're trying to be your best friend, but yet they had ulterior motives. You know, in life in general.
Yeah,
male or female.
Yeah, well,
Male or
you're
female.
talking not just financial. You're talking about a taker, right? You're talking about someone who's taking versus giving back to the community, back to their family, back to their friends. You're talking about a taker, right? So yeah, I mean, there's takers out there, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is that probably all of us are both givers and takers,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yeah.
But at different times in someone's life, back up against the wall, they might be more of a taker when they wouldn't want to be,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
So I never judge, but no, I mean, listen, I'm in my 50s and early 50s, and I've been through marriage, divorce, kids, girlfriends, legal, you name it.
Yeah.
I've had every fight you could name,
Yeah.
and
Stronger
and,
because of it.
I'm a-okay. You know, I'm perfectly happy with every decision I've made. I have encountered not a lot, Chris, to tell you the truth, but I've encountered a handful of people in my career that I just don't like. Didn't like the style, didn't like the approach. And so in those instances, you know, my style before was to go to war. And my style now is to preferably to avoid those people versus conflict. Yeah.
Is there something that you've wanted to do that's floated in the back of your head that you've never done? Something you wanted to do for a while that you've never actually got the time or chance to do it yet?
Man, that's a good question. Yeah, I want to fly a plane.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, you could.
Oh man, I'm
a lot of studying, but you could
I'm
do-
landing today from Haneda, right in Honolulu International,
Yeah.
Daniel K. Inouye International Airport, and there was some turbulence,
Yeah.
and I always this is a true story. So my brother and I were in a plane accident, not a plane
What?
crash, a plane accident. When I was 10, and he was 8. My mom was visiting family in Boston, and my dad was in Hawaii, and she had already gone up with my sister, and so me and my brother flew solo, but by ourselves from Hawaii to Chicago to Boston. We did the Chicago leg fine, but mind you, I'm 10, he's
Yeah.
8. Landed in Chicago, from Chicago to Boston, the plane on takeoff caught on fire.
Wow.
The engine's caught on fire, which in the winter that happens. It happens,
Yeah.
right? But this one was so bad where me and my brother could feel the heat
Wow.
coming in from the sides of the.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's winter, so it's cold, but you can
Yeah.
feel it. And then what I experienced in that fuselage with those people. You're 10 and 8, and people are throwing because you're trying to get to an exit.
Yeah.
And the sirens and the foam is
Yeah,
shooting
yeah.
everywhere.
And they know that thing's fully bagged out with fuel, right?
To this day,
Uh-huh.
to this day, I have thoughts of this when I'm taking off and landing.
Wow.
So
Little trauma.
PTSD.
Yeah.
I don't know. Back then it was just called we were scared. Right? It's like back then it was like, right?
Yeah.
Now it's dyslexic. When I was young, you're stupid. But yeah, I mean, no, it was harrowing. I mean, it was Patrick and I don't think he and I ever talked about it since then. I tell you the truth, it was that bad. And so, long story short is, yeah, I mean, I think that if I could do that, that would conquer that.
Yeah. You could definitely do
Not
that.
fear, I would say a grave concern I have about flying.
Yeah.
Mike, you know he flies, right?
Yeah,
You
I used to,
fly?
yeah,
He's a
when I was in the
pilot.
military. Yeah, when I was in the
He's a
military.
pilot. Hey.
Oh, no
Boxing
kidding.
trainer, flight trainer.
Yeah.
All right.
Different platform, but yeah, a lot of the stuff is very similar between platforms, obviously.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
The fundamentals.
Were you in the
Navy.
Yeah.
Did you ever, so I'm sure you've flown private before. You ever hang out in the cockpit for takeoff and landing?
I have.
Yeah,
I've
it's
been,
fun,
I've
yeah?
been, I've been in a few private jets, and I was lucky enough to be in two of the cockpits.
Yeah.
One was in mid. So none of them was takeoff or landing. I don't know if they allow that, but it was in mid-flight. I was able to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Those are expensive,
Yeah.
but very, very convenient.
Would you ever buy a jet, or would you just rent one?
Oh my gosh, I doubt it. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just
Just rent them's easier, yeah.
yeah. Charter them or whatever. Or you can,
Yeah.
I mean, there's commercial airlines are great too.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, like we're lucky we have Hawaiian Airlines here. Hawaiian Airlines is awesome to me. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
You mostly fly Hawaiian?
yeah. I like Hawaiian. Yeah.
Who's some of your peers on the island? Some of the other big dogs, and some guys, maybe Elliot or I don't.
Oh
some
yeah,
of them.
Elliot Mills, who runs Disney here. He's chairman of the board of trustees of Kamehameha Schools. He's super smart, great guy, good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Alika Mao is another really, really good friend of mine who owns some real estate, very important real estate, next to some real estate that I own in Waikiki. Alika's really another dear friend of mine. She doesn't like me mentioning her name, but her name is Melissa, and I'll leave her last name out. But she's a good friend of mine. I consider her to be a peer. She's also again in property, and a dear friend of mine. But yeah,
What's some aspects about your business that you don't like? Like the least favorite part about it? Development.
you know, I would say that for me, one of the more difficult parts of real estate development, which is not everything that I do. Like my family company, that's what it does. But what I do day in, day out is a little different. But for real estate development, one thing I don't like is I'm not a huge fan of developers that promise X and deliver Y. And you experience this because they're a competitor.
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened a lot in my career. And most times developers are good, right? And they promise X and they deliver X or better. But sometimes you get the opposite.
Yeah.
And so it's a part of the business that I really, to say I dislike it would be an understatement.
Yes.
Yeah.
You like people who keep their word.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, to me, if you make a commitment, you should
Stick to them.
stick to it. And sometimes it's impossible. And in those cases, you have to let someone off the hook.
Yeah.
If it's impossible to come through or so difficult that it could be
Right.
grave. But to me, if you make a commitment, that's why nowadays I catch myself and I'll say, if someone's trying to get me to do a commitment, I'll say, hey, 95%.
Yeah.
You got my
give
commitment.
you
got
give your
my
buffer.
commitment. 95%. Tomorrow morning I get hit by a bus. That's the
Yeah.
5%,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but like, yeah. So,
Right. If you can do it, you're gonna do them.
yeah. But the thing is, Mike, is and this happens in any industry, not just real estate development. Someone builds a sales center and shows you a product or tells you that here are the features or what we're going to do, and then doesn't deliver.
Yeah.
Right. To me, that's terrible because this is someone's home, someone's condo. They're going to raise their family there, right? And if they don't know what the maintenance fees, if they think the maintenance fees are going to be X and they end up being 2X,
Changes everything.
Or if there's supposed to be a trash chute, there's no trash chute, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm using bad examples,
Yeah.
but my point is that there has to be accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Because for you, BJ, I was once again, we at Cham Chat are very honored for you to do this podcast with us, because Mike was telling me, oh, hey, I was training BJ, I mentioned Chap Chat, and he's willing to come on the pod, and I was like so excited because to me it's like, oh man, I'm honored. Let me do some research on you because I don't know you as well, right? So and everything's on the internet. So let me find some things about you. And I did see an interview a long time ago that it was a very short one. They're saying something about what did you learn the most from your father? And the number one thing you did mention was
Keep your word.
Word is gold.
Your word is gold.
You know, that's what you got off of your father, and that's what you also believe in too, that your word is gold, you know.
Yeah, and you know, it doesn't happen every day, Chris, right? But like there's in my career, which is 27 years now, there's been a handful of times that I can remember each of these where I had to make a big commitment, and it was either nearly impossible or not nearly impossible. How it is, the cost to me to perform was great, and I'm not saying it's strong enough, but it was very difficult for me. But in each of these 5 cases, I came through.
Delivered.
I delivered, and it's easy to keep your word when it's easy to keep your word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But too many times I see people, especially young in their careers, where they too easily give up. They'll I said whatever I can't do. I'm whatever. And I'm not talking about like not meeting in a movie at 6 p.m. I'm talking about something big in business.
Yes, absolutely.
And so in those,
But even the small things too, I think, are important. But go ahead.
No, actually, it's interesting. How you do the small things is how you do the big things, right? So I've tried to impart that wisdom and show through example my kids. I've seen my dad and my grandfather do it. My brother's great at it. Sister, I mean, like our company's full of people. Again, I say good hearts, which means also people that care. And by the way, you can just don't promise.
Yeah.
If you're not good at keeping promises,
I'll try.
then
I'll
don't
change your verbiage.
Yes, yeah, change.
Back to the communication
change
skills.
the
Change your verbiage.
adjective. Yeah, I'm a pretty good boyfriend, not a great boyfriend.
Tell them truth.
Yeah,
Tell them the truth.
I'll be home 2 nights a week. Right, but yeah, I mean, like I don't know. I think it's super important.
It is.
But I've been on the other side. I've been on the other side a handful of times in my career, where someone makes a commitment, and it, you know, either doesn't happen or and it's okay, but there has to be a reason or explanation.
Right.
And so,
But it hurts.
well, of course it does.
Sometimes.
Yeah, of
Sometimes
course,
it doesn't.
of course
Sometimes,
it
thank
does.
God that got canceled.
Especially, cancel the boxing lesson.
Oh, no, not that one. Not that one.
Yeah,
We love
exactly.
seeing you over there in
No, but
Kahala.
it's a big deal. It's a big
Yes,
deal. My
yeah.
my dad imparted that to me, and I've been fortunate to have listened and been in real life, situations where this has occurred, and thankfully I came through.
Dude, I remember me and Chris were so stoked. We got all the podcast gear, the mics and everything. And before we even had the episode shot, we're like, first one, August 10th, or whatever the date was, something the 10th. And we're like, we're going to and like, we just said, that's going to be the date. And I remember when we actually hit that date and we scrambled, we stayed up to 4 a.m, editing, but we made our deadline.
Good.
And we delivered. I remember we were so stoked and so proud for ourselves. You know, and not like we held, it was just a moment. It was a little moment. We were so stoked and so proud that, you know what, dude, we freaking delivered. We said it and we did it. You know what I mean? And
that goes a long way, by the way. You know, when you say it and deliver it,
right,
versus just deliver it. To me, sometimes, you know, in when you're an entrepreneur, you're taking sometimes you got to say what you want to do. And say you're gonna do it, and then you got to go do it.
it's like manifesting.
Well, because it manifests itself, but it's also like puts more pressure on you. Yeah. But once you say it, right, it's out there.
It's in the universe.
Right? Like you said it at Omaha Beach Park. I'm gonna go do the open mic.
Yep. And I
you
showed up.
And then you showed up. So you might have bombed.
Yep, I did.
But Mike, you showed up.
Yes.
And half of it sometimes is just fucking showing up
That's
because the
a
other
lot
person
of-
doesn't show up.
Yes, yes.
100%.
Nailed it.
My 3 cents.
Hey, ding dong dang ding, you nailed it. hey, BJ.
Give him the guest book, man. We're so honored to have
we
BJ
are
in the
very
building.
honored. It's a Cham Chat tradition
right,
that
what do I
we
got?
have a guest book over here.
Yes.
And then let's see.
All right. Well, you sign it?
You sign it, you can put a message, you can do whatever you want. This whole page is for you.
All right, I'm going to do it.
Sign them up.
Oh yeah, BJ. Hey, it was awesome getting to know you, man. I mean,
So awesome.
All the things that I wanted to ask a professional business entrepreneur, a successful one.
Yeah.
You know, you did answer majority of it. But we got some more, and I was just wondering, do you think BJ would be a guest part 2 again?
BJ.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Maybe,
absolutely.
maybe.
Oh yeah! You heard it first. BJ's word is gold. Oh yeah!
man.
Round 2, BJ Kobayashi again.
Wow, I think we have reason to celebrate now. We're gonna run it back.
We got to dance right
Park
here.
Lane.
All right. Thank you, Chap Chat. It's been fun, man. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We'll do it
BJ.
again.
Yep. And hey, everyone, stay tuned for the word on the comedy show. It's gonna be a sick one. I'll be there.
Man, I hope I'll be there too, man.
Hell yeah, you better.
Jack of all trades, man. Park Lane developer, stand-up comic, father,
Father.
a pretty good boyfriend, right? Pretty good.
I can break dance too.
Oh!
Hey, I've seen some moves one time. I saw him break dance. Let's
It's always
go.
a pleasure,
Thank you, BJ.
BJ.
All right,
Thank you
man.
very
Thanks,
much.
guys. Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
All right, man.
Oh
Good
my
job.
goodness.
That was fun.
Oh,
That was fun.
that was